How's everybody doing? We're going to talk about today something, the right to remain silent. And I often come across YouTube videos, and anyone that watches, scrolls through YouTube videos, sees people being interrogated by the police, by detectives, by investigators. And I can't believe how much these people talk when they have the right to remain silent. And so we're going to get into that a little bit and talk about a little bit about the psychology of how it works, what you're entitled to. So you're entitled to remain silent under the Fifth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution that says no person shall be has to answer for a crime. No person has to self-incriminate themselves. You have the right to remain silent, and silent means silent. So you have to understand that and this doesn't mean your right to remain silent, whether you're innocent or guilty. You have the right to remain silent. This is not an anti-police officer video. Remaining silent is not anti-police. You could consider it pro-constitution. You're enforcing your right to remain silent because, as the officer says when they read you your rights, anything you say will be used against you in the court of law. And that word is very important. Anything. That means you can say something that you believe will help clear you of the crime. You can say something that you believe will show your innocence, but they will take that, and anything you say will be used against you. This is why it's important to remain silent. When you're in that interrogation room, you could simply state your name and tell them I have the right to remain silent under the Constitution, and that's what I choose to do. But they're going to try all type of tactics to get you to talk. What's important is that many criminals think that they can outsmart the detectives or the police. They think that they can outwit them, not realizing that this is something that they do every day. They have seen and heard it all. They've gone to school and taken classes on how to interrogate people. They've taken psychology classes. As you're in that room, they're not only listening to what you say and what you don't say, they're looking at your body language. They're looking at your omissions, which means the things that you leave out. So it's just best to remain 100% silent. That means you don't say a thing. See, when the officers, I'm not trying to help people get away with crime. I'm simply want to help people understand that they have a right. My father was a police lieutenant for 20 years, and he would tell me, don't ever speak to the police if you're being questioned. And he was a lieutenant for 20 years because he knows what's good for his own son. My grandfather was the police commissioner who spent 30 years in the department. And he would say to me, Joey, the stupidest thing you could ever do is answer the questions of a police officer because the police are not your friend. You see, from the moment, if you watch any interrogations, from the moment they walk into the room, they try and build a relationship with you. They try and build some trust with you. In other words, the officer will come in and immediately try to shake your hand like he's nice to meet you, happy to meet you. I'm Officer so and so. And he extends the gesture of shaking your hand. That is a psychology to make you feel like he's there to help you, like he's your friend. He's not there to help you. He's there to gain information for your arrest. That's what he's there for. And anything you say will be used against you. How often do they walk into the room and say, can I get you something to drink? Are you thirsty? Are you hungry? The person says, can I smoke a cigarette? Sure, they'll tell you, let me get you something to drink. You want a bag of chips? This is all to build a rapport with you, to make you feel comfortable. You know, so once they do that and they try to start questioning you, you just immediately shut it down and say, I have the right to remain silent, and that's what I choose to do at this time. That means you don't say anything. Even if you think you're saying something that you believe is going to help you, it's going to hurt you. And all these people in these interrogations just talk and talk and talk, and they talk themselves into life sentences, which is or extended periods of time, because the officer can't do anything to help you. They'll try all type of things, like they'll say to you, if you admit it here now, this is your last chance to admit it. It will really help you if you show some remorse. The officer can't do anything for you. He's not the judge. He's not the district attorney. Right, he can't make a deal with you. They say, oh, we can make this go easier on you. They can't do anything for you. All they are is a cop. All they are is a detective who arrested you. And all they're going to do is write information against you. Anything you do will be used against you in the court of law. So you have to remain silent 100%. And they'll try the good cop, bad cop routine. In other words, the one cop comes in and he tries to be your friend, and he tells you, listen, I know you're not a bad guy. This could have been an accident. If we don't get your side of the story, then we have to go with the evidence that we have, and that could hurt you. It'd be better if you give us your side of the story. All these things are to try and get you to talk. And when you're in the position of being accused of a crime, whether you're innocent or guilty, you're very vulnerable in that room. Most people have never been in the interrogation room before. So you're scared, you're intimidated, you're worried. A lot of people are under the influence in that situation, and the emotions are very high. And because of this, they tend to talk more, to feel like getting it out will help them. But getting anything out will only hurt you. Okay, you need to understand this, and I know I keep repeating it. The right to remain silent. Silent means say nothing at all. I'll give you a brief example of how an officer may trick you in the situation. Let's say you choose not to remain. Let's say you're a woman and there's a knock on your door, and you open up the door and there's two officers there, two detectives there. And they say, how are you, Mrs. So and so? They said, we are looking to talk to your boyfriend, um, because there was an incident about 5 miles away at the 7-Eleven where somebody was killed last night. And we don't think it was your boyfriend, but we know that he's been in some trouble. So we have to come over here and ask a few questions. It's just routine of us to go to anyone and anybody's house nearby with a criminal record and ask what happened. So as we said, someone was killed at the 7-Eleven last night at about 1 o'clock in the morning, and we wanted to speak to your boyfriend about it. And the woman responds by saying, well, he's not home right now. And they said, well, is so and so your boyfriend? At that point, the woman is supposed to say, I do not answer any questions. I don't answer any questions. Have a nice day, and close the door. If they don't have any type of warrant, you are not obligated to say anything in the world, and do not say anything in the world. But let's say, hypothetically, that this woman decides to speak because she thinks she's going to help her boyfriend. And so she says, well, he's not home right now. And they say, well, and she says, it's impossible that he could have hurt anyone last night because he was with me. He came home from work at 5 o'clock last night, and we watched Netflix together and had dinner. And then after dinner, we climbed into bed and we went to sleep. And that was about 10 o'clock at night. So it was impossible for him to do that. And they say, well, the officer says, he didn't leave your sight for a minute. And she says, no, he did not leave my sight for a minute. A matter of fact, we didn't go to bed till 1:30. And so it would be impossible for him to commit a crime at 1 o'clock because we were still in bed at 1 o'clock watching TV. And the officer says, I know this is your boyfriend and you're trying to look out for him. And, it would really, and she says, no, it's impossible. I'm telling you, he was here all night with me. And the officer says, okay, that's really good, because if that can help him, you're a witness that can prove that he wasn't there. Well, but in the court of law, and would you be willing to give a statement saying that he was with you all night? Would you be willing to put that in writing? And first of all, the officer's body cam is already rolling, or he's got a tape recorder in his pocket already rolling. But now he asked the woman, would you be willing to give a statement saying, and she says, "Of course, I will give a statement. He was here with me all night." And so the officer sits down with her. They write this whole statement together. And then after she writes the statement with the officer and she signs it, the officer calls headquarters and it tells headquarters to get a warrant for her boyfriend's arrest for murder. But wait a minute. Why would the officer do that? She said he was home all night in her statement, and she was willing to testify. The reason the officer called for the warrant for murder is because officers are allowed to lie. According to the law, an officer is allowed to lie to someone when questioning them and when interrogating them. And nobody was killed at the 7-Eleven 5 miles away. It was the neighbor that was killed at 1 o'clock in the morning. And this woman who thought she was helping just gave a statement placing her boyfriend at the scene of the crime or 10 feet away from the scene of the crime all night. She thought she was helping, but she placed him at the scene by running her mouth, by opening her mouth, and by not remaining silent. That is just one of the millions of tricks that they will use to get people to talk. So, what you do when you're in an interrogation room, whether you're innocent or guilty, you ask to speak to an attorney. I don't care how much they scare you. If they tell you in your face, you're going to jail for the rest of your life. If you don't talk to me right now, you're done. We have evidence. We have witnesses. We have videotape. We have your DNA. We have your fingerprints. If you don't talk to us right now, we're going to see you as a vicious, vicious killer, and you're going to get seen as a person with no remorse. You say, I have the right to remain silent, and I want my attorney, because anything you say will be used against you in the court of law. See, if they have the evidence to arrest you, they're going to arrest you one way or the other. If you don't talk, they're going to arrest you. If you do talk, they're going to arrest you because they have the evidence. If they don't have the evidence, don't talk to them. See, they're trying to gain as much information as they can. This way, they can get the warrant for your arrest. Maybe they don't have that evidence. And if you keep your mouth shut, you walk right out of there. You may have to keep your mouth shut through all the threats, through all the accusations, through all the intimidation. It may last hours long. They may try and interrogate you for hours. But all you do is remain silent. And if they do arrest you, after they arrest you, you're entitled to a phone call. You call an attorney, or you call your family and tell them to call an attorney. And then when the attorney gets there, the criminal attorney, he will advise you what to say. But now in that situation, they don't have any information, and you and your attorney can deal with everything. Always remain silent, no matter what, no matter what.